Do you know how, when you complete a quest in the Borderlands games, you're typically given some rewards? Usually it's money and some experience, but sometimes you're given a gun. We're not talking about those guns. Instead, there are a few specific missions in Borderlands 2 that, while the mission is active, will give the player a mission weapon that are placed at the top of the inventory, automatically favorited, and don't have a level restriction. My question is, can you complete Borderlands 2 using only these mission weapons? Well, given that we've already beaten the game with the level 1 starter pistol, the answer is certainly yes, but let's pretend otherwise so I can get a juicier title for the algorithm. I'm sure you'd love to know just how many of these mission weapons exist in Borderlands 2, and while I don't want to spoil it, I will say you may be surprised. Let's lay down some ground rules. Our only equipped weapons can be these mission weapons. No shields that deal direct damage, except for Royd. No grenade mods. No badass rank. And action skill usage is only allowed until we get our first weapon. So, first things first. Choosing a character. Now, pretty much any character would be good for this for reasons I won't reveal quite yet, but you may have already guessed by the rules which character we're going to be picking. We're going with Krieg, and I decided on this set of cosmetics and figured this would be a fitting name. Ah yes, Windshear Waste. Lovely this time of year. If you're unfamiliar with the story of Borderlands 2, I'd highly recommend playing it or referring to my starter pistol only video, since I'm going to be skipping over most of the details. Claptrap gets his eye ripped out, and we do a cool little speedrun strat here to skip him opening the door. By dying in this corner, we activate the fast travel station with our ragdoll, allowing us to quit out and spawn in without having to wait on Claptrap. Right now, our only damage is melee, and while we could probably get to Knuckle Dragger and defeat him, it makes much more sense to go and farm some XP at everyone's favorite DLC, the Fight for Sanctuary. I neglected to mention this in my last video, but the reason I believe this is the best XP farm isn't actually because of the XP itself. It has to do with all of these lootable containers in the headquarters. They can have all kinds of things, including iridium, which will be very useful in the near future. Any weapons we find can also be sold for some nice early game cash, and while the XP gains aren't as good as the Digistruct Peak, they're good enough to get us to level 6 in about 15 minutes. Alright, back to Claptrap's place. I thought about banning Buzzak's Rampage entirely for this playthrough, since killing everything with it would basically dodge the whole point of the challenge, but eventually figured it would be fine until at least we reach our first actually usable weapon. For any other character, you could just level up more since melee damage scales with your character's level by 13%. Oh yeah, that's something I should probably mention. In the last video, I said that the scaling for this game is 15%, but that's incorrect. It's 13% pretty much all around, but some things like enemy health have an additional linear 2% scaling. The list of things that have that additional 2% is pretty obscure, but among them is Krieg's melee damage, believe it or not. Anyway, all that to say, scaling is 13%. We get to Knuckle Dragger, and the fight isn't terribly fast, but it's not very difficult either. We kill him and head off to Liarsburg. Nothing interesting happens here, just the typical clowning of the Berg's broke boys, and we meet a Hammerlock. After giving him the eye, we can save and quit to skip a bunch of dialogue, and when we spawn back in, they start near the broken bounty board. Lots of B alliteration in this video. We grab This Town Ain't Big Enough after turning in cleaning up the Berg to skip even more dialogue, and letting us grab Claptrap immediately. I think it's really weird that despite my over 2,000 hours in this game, I still just randomly find skins that I haven't unlocked yet. Anyway, we attempt to kill the rest of the Bullymongs and then die because I'm still not sure about Buzzak's Rampage yet. After turning that mission in, we get a good amount of XP, but we'll need more if we want to get past Flint. I grab Handsome Jack here and perform a magic trick. After turning it in, I try to protect Claptrap, only to die pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure I only need 1 or 2 more levels if I want a good shot at getting to and beating Captain Flint. So, off to Digistruct Peak. A lot of people show off this method of XP farming, but I haven't seen anyone actually explain the intricacies of it, so allow me to do that real quick. When you run in here, 2 skags spawn right in front of you. These will always be normal adult skags, but after that, another 2 will spawn randomly in the larger area. These can be adult skags, spitter skags, or rarely a rabid skag. After those first 4 are dead, or de-aggroed, the game then spawns 2 more guaranteed adult skags, followed by a guaranteed rabid skag and 2 spitters. The only issue with this XP farm is the spitter skags, since they don't lunge at you. If you get them in the random set, you can't get to the guaranteed rabid skag. So, it's a dice roll every time you save and quit how much XP you get. One of the advantages Krieg has in this farm is the fact that he takes reduced knockback. The skags can't put the stinky on you nearly as easily. We get pretty well into level 8, and I decide that's enough to get back to the story. I'll probably level up off of Boom Boom, and level 9 is enough to get to Flint, hopefully. This suicide psycho has other plans though, and does more than just block my path. Big Bertha is really funny to melee since it has a really big collision hole, but a much smaller hitbox. You have to wedge yourself into it to hit it with melee, or get up onto the deck and hit Boom in the face. Up until this point, I'd gone without Buzzax Rampage, but I was getting annoyed at the many multiple hits it took to kill these squirrely enemies, so I finally said fuck it, I'll use Buzzax Rampage until I get a gun. Even though this makes general mobbing easier, if we ever go down, we're basically screwed. Enemies in this game will actively run away and take cover if you go down. This already makes the game difficult for people with guns, and for us, it means going down is almost certain death. Claptrap doesn't break on us, that's 3 in a row, and we get to the good captain himself. Strategy? Buzzax. MVP? Buzzax. I get this funny bug after killing Flint where the game still plays the animation for holding a Buzzax. It seems to be purely visual though, since I'm not dealing increased damage or moving 40% faster. Oh yeah, in case you didn't know, you move faster during Buzzax Rampage. It's not listed in-game, but according to Loot Lemon... Loot Lemon? Nah, it's Lootlemon. According to Lootlemon, the speed boost is 40%. We get to the catcher ride and get to the Hyperion thingy, and now it's time for a grenade jump. Remember when I said that Krieg takes reduced knockback? Well, that applies here as well. I'm pretty sure Krieg's gravity value is also set higher, meaning he doesn't jump as high or fly as far in general, so this jump takes a few tries. Not even close. Since we're not using vehicles, we can't ram into Door Guy, but we can still punish him for his door-related crimes. We get to Reese, and this bullymong helps us fend off his attackers. For that, he gets to live. We get the AA and run off the cliff to respawn back at the entrance to Sanctuary. We replace the batteries to their scale replica of your mom's marital aid, and now we have access to our first weapon that we can use from Marcus. First, let's place these fuel cells since it's on the way. Marcus gives a set of missions called Rock Paper Genocide, meant to teach the player about the different elemental resistances and weaknesses, and each mission gives a different Mollywan pistol with each of the 4 elements: fire, shock, corrosion, and slag. The first 3 elements are effective against flesh, shields, and armor respectively, so we'll want to be careful about which pistol we choose to use, since we can only use each element until we turn in the mission to reach the next one. First, we're going to take the fire pistol, which is conveniently the first element we get, since for now, most enemies are fleshy and will be weak to fire, or at least that'll be the case most of the time. Our next destination, Frostburn Canyon, actually has quite a few flesh enemies that are resistant to fire. For now though, let's respec. I decide to move into the Bloodlust tree, since my primary build for this run will be Trinity Krieg. For those who don't know, Krieg has 3 particular kill skills that boost melee, gun, and grenade damage based on how many Bloodlust stacks he has, but each one requires the player get a kill from a different source. Melee kills boost grenade damage, grenade kills boost gun damage, and gun kills boost melee damage. Building around these 3 skills can be very powerful, and are usually the basis for most of Krieg's gun-based builds. In hindsight, getting Burn Baby Burn would have been better for now since that increases our pistol's elemental effect damage, but what are you gonna do? It's gonna be a while until we get all 3 of those kill skills though, so for now we'll settle with our first skill, Blood-Filled Guns. We get to Frostburn Canyon, and even though these enemies are supposed to be resistant to fire damage, we're having no trouble dispatching them. The biggest issue we run into is actually ammo. Since we only have 1 gun, we're pulling from 1 ammo pool, meaning we run out a lot faster than we can restock. I mentioned it earlier, but I'm allowing melee for this challenge, partially because of Krieg's Trinity build, but also because otherwise ammo management would be a nightmare. It's worth mentioning that Molly 1 pistols always consume at least 2 ammo per shot, meaning we eat through ammo very quickly. We get to Lilith and have no issues dealing with the psychos and marauders. We give Lilith her crack, and she tells us we need to go bust Roland out of jail. On the way to Three Horns Valley, we find this badass bullymong and kill it for a level up. Now, we get the first part of the Trinity, Blood Overdrive. Upon getting a gun kill, our melee damage will be boosted for a short amount of time. Not exactly ideal since we want to do most of our damage with our guns, but beggars can't be choosers. We arrive at the Happy Pig Motel, and for the sake of convenience, I do the quest to power it up. On the way, we kill Doc Mercy and get our second weapon, this E-Tech assault rifle. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but you don't need to turn in this mission to get rid of the gun. You just need to complete the objective of killing 25 bandits, then save and quit. What's the problem? Just don't kill bandits with it, I hear you say. Well, funny thing about that, you don't need to get the kills with the assault rifle. Any E-Tech weapon will do. And the game seems to have a very loose definition of what E-Tech weapons are. For instance, if a bandit dies to the splash damage of a Molly 1 weapon, that's E-Tech. Do you see the problem? There might have been ways to keep this assault rifle for longer, but to be honest, it's not a great gun anyway, so we won't be missing it. What we are missing is that Three Horns Valley fast travel, so let's grab those banana boats and plug them suckers in, as the kids are to say. We deploy a vehicle in front of Bloodshot Stronghold and carefully melee it over to the gate for them to see our whip and laugh at our drip, as the kids say. Off to the dust. Now we gotta kill a bunch of cars in a rather pedestrian manner. This is more difficult than you might expect since we're very squishy without a car, and, well, they have a car. Funnily enough, it seems like our fire pistol is actually doing more damage than our assault rifle, so that's what we go with. On my second run, I level up, and while taking out the cars, I get enough splash kills with my pistol to finish Medical Mystery, meaning no more assault rifle for me. We keep it until we save and quit, so I could have just never quit, but given that this playthrough took quite a while, that just wasn't an option. We get our car parts, build the car, and drive on over. Just kidding. You thought I would forget. For those who don't know, cars are banned in these runs. Now there's a pretty nifty thing about mission weapons you may have noticed. Each time I save and quit, my gun is different. The parts of mission weapons are randomized each time you load in, and this time, I got the double shot accessory on my pistol, meaning it now consumes 4 ammo per shot, but also shoots 2 bullets. Not a big deal for now though. We get to Badma and only die to him once due to a lack of ammo. Second try's the charm though, and we get into Bloodshot Stronghold. Returning viewers might think we do Bloodshot skip like last video, but I don't think the grenade jumps are actually possible as Creek because he's so heavy. Not like the Stronghold is that tough. Even Mad Mike isn't that big of an issue. Right before Roland, we hit level 13 and get another point into Blood Overdrive. Roland gets kidnapped, again, and we get introduced to our first instance of the loaders, enemies that are resistant to fire weapons. Despite knowing this, I try to get through as much of Bloodshot ramparts as I can with my fire gun. Then we hit a bit of a roadblock. Warden is a constructor, and constructors don't just resist fire damage, they also resist splash damage. A decent part of most Molly 1 weapons damage is splash damage, meaning our pistol's damage is getting reduced twice over. I gave this a couple of tries with our fire pistol, but I knew I'd probably have to swap it out. Back to Marcus, I swapped my fire gun for a shotgun, and then immediately swapped for a corrosive gun. Why not try shock? To be honest, I just didn't think it would be worthwhile, given that most armored enemies don't have shields. On our way back to the ramparts, we hit level 14. Alright, time to test Warden with our new corrosive gun. Oh right, Warden has a shield to start, and shields resist corrosion. Huh. Well, too bad there was absolutely no way we could have gotten a shock weapon until now. It takes a couple of tries since Warden's shield recharges so damn fast, and we can't apply a damage over time effect to him. Eventually, I do the unthinkable. I implement a strategy. Instead of just rushing in, I stack some Bloodlust on the enemies that spawn outside, then use the melee bonus from Blood Overdrive to take out Warden's shield. I do die, but when I come back, it seems like Warden's shield is like a 10th of its original capacity. I don't know if this is an intended mechanic, but I'll take it. Finally, Roland is free, and we can head over to the Tundra Express. We hit the Express, burn some Varkids, meet Tina, grab the Badonkadonks, give them to Tina, wonder what's so squishy, take the damsels, set them up, and cause some very minor property damage. Wilhelm is a first try victory, and we get the all-important D battery, a massive improvement from Sanctuary's AA. After turning in a train to catch, we level up, and we grab the mission, the good, the bad, and the Mordecai before dooming Sanctuary and watching God pick it up from the sky and eviscerate the city as punishment for the people's sins. Off to the fridge. On our way, Lilith kindly reminds us that we need a fire weapon to burn people to death.
Make sure you've got a fire weapon.
And we make it through the fridge relatively painlessly. As an apology for Borderlands 3, God decides to give Sanctuary back, and we meet the bacon-loving Thresher. This fight isn't super difficult, but I die twice trying to face tank and kill the Thresher before it kills me. Can you blame me though? That's kind of Krieg's thing. After growing a brain and killing the Thresher, we make our way to Overlook, and have only a mild amount of frustration dealing with all the loaders. Even the constructors aren't that big of an issue with this cool technique, where I hold left click to shoot, then time my melee inputs just after I shoot. We get back to Sanctuary, and now we have access to our second mission weapon, but it's out of the way, so we'll put it off for the moment. Hitting the Crimson Raider HQ gets us to level 16, and we put our skill point into the next piece of the Triforce, Trinity Krieg, and that's Bloodbath. Bloodbath increases our gun damage after getting a kill with either a grenade or explosion. Remember when I said that Mollywand weapons deal splash damage? Well, that counts as an explosion in this case. And since direct damage counts as gun damage, that means we can proc both Blood Overdrive and Bloodbath with our pistol, depending on which kind of damage actually gets the kill. If you kill something with the bullet damage, then you get Blood Overdrive. But if you kill it with the splash damage, you get Bloodbath. Splash damage still gets applied when you hit an enemy directly, so it's kind of a dice roll which one you get. But that's fine, since we actually want both of these buffs. At this point, I hadn't actually done any research for this video, so I didn't know which missions gave mission weapons, and so I did the only logical thing, and picked up every single mission I could. None of the missions gave me a weapon, so I head towards the one mission that I know does give a weapon. Earlier, we grabbed the first Clan War mission. We blow up the tire, get ambushed, put the Clover down, go to Overlook, terrorize a microbrewery, put a silhouette down, and meet good old Mickey. While waiting for him to take forever to walk to the place he needs to go, we do some gambling and mess with the locals. No joke, it takes him 50 seconds to walk across the room and down these stairs. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels like an eternity in a video game. Alright, time for some more domestic terrorism in the name of organized crime syndicates. This time we sabotage a race being held at Hodunk Speedway. Every character can do a grenade jump up this cliff to skip needing to drive around the track. Every character except for Krieg. I'll be honest, I don't even know if grenade jumps are faster for basic movement when you're playing Krieg, since you have to stop running to throw a grenade. We place the dynamite, blow up 2 cars, kill the last one, then listen to Ellie say the name of a bunch of movies. Now, we've got to trail Bagman to the Zafford's cash stash. We get there, ambush Bagman, and get the funny shield. It's like a roid shield, but it's a booster shield. Funny, you'd think the Hodunks would want the cash for themselves, but no, they just let us take it. We get a pretty good triquetra from turning in the mission. Bonus pellets, Hyperion stock, TDR grip kinda stinks, but I can't really complain too much. Fun fact, Jacob shotguns all deal bonus critical hit damage. Kinda busted. Anyway, we make it over to the best character in all of Borderlands. And finally get the thing we did all of this nonsense for. Clan War trailer trashing gives the player a tinderbox as a mission weapon. Good for starting fires indeed. I respec into Hellborn Krieg for a bit to make use of our new fire weapon. With the new fire gun, we now have weapons that are effective against 2 of the 3 health types. Arriving in the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve, we notice that our level isn't quite up to par with the enemies. Oh well, let's push through anyway. Oh good, Pomone and Toomba spawned. Surely that won't make my life harder. Well, since we're right next to these vendors, we may as well kill them. Right now we're spec'd into Elemental Elation, which stacks by dealing damage over time to enemies, and increases fire rate and magazine size. It pairs really well with Krieg's other Bloodlust skills, as you can imagine, but since we're still low level, we can't quite see that yet. Earlier, I grabbed the mission Doctor's Orders from Tanis, and that opens up a pretty cool opportunity for us before Bloodwing's enclosure. While you have Doctor's Orders, these 4 boxes will always spawn loot midgets, so long as there aren't too many other enemies alive, and so long as you don't pick up the echo that's in the box. Loot midgets have a very high chance to drop legendary weapons, but also give a pretty decent amount of experience, so I'll be killing them. The smart thing to do here would have been spawning them one at a time and taking them out individually, but why do that when I can spawn them all at once and regret my choices? After a few tries, we get our extra XP and move forward to Bloodwing. Admittedly, the fact that about half of the enemies here had a skull icon next to their level should have been an indication that I wasn't about to have a good time, but who cares about silly things like levels? Oh hey, level 18. We get to Bloodwing and get through the fire phase pretty easily. That's when I learned something new about Bloodwing. To nobody's surprise, Bloodwing's first phase resists fire, but so does her second and third phases. I think as she progresses through the elements, she gains resistances to those elements and keeps them in subsequent phases. I didn't test this fully, but given that she resists corrosion in her third phase, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. My whole plan for this fight was to start with the corrosion pistol, then switch to the tinderbox for the shock and corrosion phases, but now that plan seems to be bust. Regardless, I tried for a good while, about an hour and a half. After failing to kill her, I hit the wiki. I scoured the list of missions to see if any missions I had access to could give me another weapon to work with. And I found one. Not in the base game, but over in Torg's campaign of Carnage. If you didn't know this DLC had a mission weapon, well, neither did I. Now, it's gonna be a while until we can actually use the weapon we want, but it'll be a good opportunity to go and get over the story of this DLC. So, over here in the Badass Crater of Badassitude, there's a vault. Apparently, they're just peppered around on Pandora like 7-Elevens. Anyway, Torg is hosting a tournament to speed along the conditions to open the vault, which are when the champion of Pandora spills the blood of the ultimate coward. I wonder who that could be. Well, this guy looks rich and powerful, and everyone knows that rich and powerful people are trustworthy, so let's team up with him. He's actually the #1 fighter right now. How convenient. Surely he'll be able to teach us some very valuable skills. We are currently ranked 50th in Torg's little competition, and in order to rise up in the ranks, we're facing everyone from position 49 to position 5, all at once. That should speed things along nicely. I counted the amount of people we actually kill, and the total comes out to 36. The other 8 must have died of Ligma or something. Oh my god, Piston betrayed us. Who could have possibly seen this coming? Okay, so now our partner disowns us, meaning we need someone else to sponsor us for these fights. Apparently, there's a sponsor somewhere in an area called the Beatdown, so let's run over there real quick. This area is pretty easy since most of the enemies are fleshy and we've got a pretty decent fire gun. Here, we're introduced to Pyro Pete, who wants to firewalk and fire talk with us about the sponsor he's kidnapped. But first, we've got to kill a bunch of people in Pete's bar. Otherwise, Pete won't talk to us. Why? Fuck if I know. Turns out, Pete doesn't actually want to talk, and instead just wants to burn us alive. Could have fooled me. Pete is really easy in normal playthroughs, and since we've got some decent damage, this run is no different. Anyway, we find the sponsor Pete was keeping, and surprise, it's Moxie. She tells us to go meet her at her bar, even though we could literally talk over the phone, or right now, but whatever. And now's where I take the time to remind everyone that vehicles were banned in this run, so I ran everywhere, making this DLC take about twice as long. We get to Moxie's bar, and she tells us we need some training if we want to have a chance at the #1 spot. She's taken the liberty of setting us up with a trainer, and we gotta go meet them. As a quick aside, I kinda like this map. Even though running through it can be a pain, the aesthetic reminds me of the Nox DLC from Borderlands 1, specifically with the broken highways and whatnot. Oh, and here we are at the trainer. Who else could it be but Tina? She instructs us that our diet is simply no good, and we need to supplement with chocolate chip cookies. Who might argue? In order to get some, we just need to break into the Torg Arena and steal some from the food vendors inside. And just we're about to finish the quest, Tina realizes the horrible truth. Okay, call me crazy, but I actually like oatmeal raisin cookies. I guess there's no accounting for taste. Anyway, we destroy the vendors because Tina says so, and our training is complete. Alright, time to do Death Race. Without a car. Nah, I'm just messing with you. I know I've stressed that cars are banned for this run, but I'm pretty sure this mission is actually impossible without cars. So just for this one time, we're going to be taking the Goonmobile for a spin. We get out of the car to finish the race, and I guess that was enough to get the attention of the number 3 ranked fighter, Motor Mama. Moxie used to date her, but they broke up. She also eats her own children, which I think is a bad thing. Even though Motor Mama contacted us and clearly wants to fight us, we've got to go all the way across her lot to flip this switch to pass a gate and get to her. Like, couldn't you have just done this yourself? Such a lack of consideration. Jeez. Honestly, this whole tournament confuses me. I mean, we're killing each other, so how are the rankings determined? How is it determined that Motor Mama wasn't above Piston without one of them killing the other? What would Torg, the corporation, not the dude, what would they have done if the requirements for the vault opening were never met? Would this whole thing have just kept on going until they went bankrupt? I'd like to imagine a universe where the prophecy was about a totally different person and Torg Corporation just held this competition for no reason. Anyway, Motor Mama. She's actually surprisingly tanky and deals a good amount of damage, at least until we get her out of her car. Alright, now we're number 3 on the leaderboard, and we get back to Moxie. She tells us the next position is held by someone in an area called the Forge. The Forge is locked, and the keys are in that same area where we blew up the cookie vendors. You're supposed to go around the whole arena to get the keys, but with a grenade jump, you can skip the whole thing and just grab the keys easily. On the way to the Forge, we get a call from the number 2 fighter, Flyboy.
Noob sauce. I am the future. You ball hunters are old noobs. I'm the new hotness. Don't be jelly, you Brook. I'm just gonna K your race so hard, you'll beg me to SYITF.
The joke is that kids use weird slang. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The Forge is similar to Motor Mama's area, where even though Flyboy wants to fight us, we've got to jump through some hoops to get to him. This time, we've upgraded from 1 switch to 3 switches. Now this mission here is very annoying. See these buzzards? They've got crates on them you've got to shoot. And when you shoot them, they drop golden banjos that we need to pick up. Usually this mission is pretty easy if you have enough damage to break the crates quickly, but our damage is starting to fall off. You might be wondering, why is our damage only just now starting to fall off? Well, that has to do with the fact that a mission weapon's level is tied to the game state of the area it comes from. In English, the level of the area where you get the mission will be the level of the weapon. Since we get our corrosive pistol from Marcus in Sanctuary, and Sanctuary's level increases each time we complete a main story mission, our Marcus gun has stayed relatively effective. However, we haven't completed a main story mission in a bit, but we've been getting levels. Torg's DLC scales directly to your character's level, from level 15 to 30, and so the DLC has been getting harder, but our weapons are the same strength. At least that's the idea. I glossed over a good amount of the details, but here's an explanation from some folks who are very knowledgeable about the game. Anyway, now we've got to fight Flyboy. But oh no! Piston's blimp just shot him down! Well, at least I don't have to feel bad about killing a kid now. I thought I wouldn't need to go this far since the wiki says we should be able to get the mission that gives us the weapon we want right now, but that's actually wrong. The mission doesn't show up until after we turn in Kickstart My Heart, so we've got to kill this stupid blimp. Piston's blimp is not a hard fight, but since our damage is lackluster and I'm kinda short on ammo, I die a couple of times before dealing with this big eyesore. I also get this funny glitch where, even though I haven't gone down in over 10 minutes, my bleed out timer is less than 2 seconds. Very fun. The hardest part of this fight isn't even the blimp. It's the buzzards that swarm around you after breaking the blimp's shield. The blimp itself is really easy to dodge and has a huge crit spot. It also probably didn't help that I was still specced into the Hellborn tree. Bloodlust would have probably been preferable. After dealing with the buzzards and breaking the shield, we finally get to the gooey center of Piston's blimp, and can go turn in the mission. We could just go finish the DLC at this point, but I really just want to get the gun. We go to Moxie's bar, turn in the quest, and go back to the Forge. The mission we want here is Commercial Appeal, and it gives us a blue Torg shotgun. This shotgun will have random parts each time we save and quit. Right now, we have a quad with a Jacob's grip and damage prefix. This is a very good roll, but each time we save and quit, these parts will be re-rolled. Speaking of saving and quitting, say goodbye to this pretty good quad. Next time I load in, I get a double barrel, and I forgot to hit record when I did this, but I spec back into Bloodlust to get Bloodbath. Torg guns deal a decent amount of both splash and gun damage, so Bloodbath is going to be activating pretty often. We also spec into Fuel the Blood, which is the final part of Krieg's Trinity build. Fuel the Blood activates when you get a melee kill, and increases grenade damage. Splash damage is generally lumped together with grenade damage, so pretty much all of our weapons benefit from both Bloodbath and Fuel the Blood. This is one of my favorite builds in the game. It's very powerful and rewards good micromanagement, high mobbing potential, and just as much boss killing power. I get to the loot midgets to get some more XP, hit level 21, and get a Sledge's shotgun. Also, I'll be making use of a small glitch during this run with this Torg shotgun known as double shotting. By holding fire, tapping reload, and swapping to a different weapon, then back, your gun shoots twice in quick succession, regardless of fire rate. There's a couple of ways to do this glitch. For instance, you can hit your melee button instead of swapping weapons. You may have seen this in videos that showcase rocket jumping, as it's a common technique to get effectively twice as much height. Anyway, back to Bloodwing. Previously, we were having issues getting past the first phase, and now, with our new gun and better build, we absolutely demolish her health bar, getting Bloodbath off of the Skags, boosting our gun damage, and using that to utterly destroy the bird. We grab the Claptrap upgrade and head back to Sanctuary to deliver it. We've got a pretty good thing going, using our elemental effects to stack up Bloodlust, then proccing either Bloodbath or Fuel the Blood to boost the hell out of our shotgun's damage. Before heading off to 1000 Cuts, I quickly do the Good, the Bad, and the Mordecai to get Moxie's Endowment, a relic that slightly boosts XP gain. That's gonna be my main relic until I get something that boosts my damage. Alright, time to go deal with Brick's bullshit. My strategy for this fight is pretty much always the same, knocking the helmets off of these Goliaths and letting them go and take care of everything while I chill in the rafters. The second and third waves are pretty easy, we just gotta proc our kill skills on the midgets and shred everything else. We hit level 22 near the end of wave 3, and if anyone was wondering what my skills looked like, here you go. I'm going evenly into Bloodbath and Fuel the Blood since they're both very good. After breaking the mortar beacons, we head back to Sanctuary, turn in the mission, and now we're off to Opportunity. After saving and quitting, I get an okay roll on my shotgun, but I want better. I save and quit again and get this quad. I want to talk about weapon parts for a second, so if you want to skip that, go to this time code. Shotguns in Borderlands 2 are pretty cool, being a bit more involved in how the barrel affects the gun. Hyperion and Tediore barrels are single barrel, shooting a standard amount of pellets and consuming 1 ammo per shot. The Jacob's barrel is the double barrel, consuming 2 ammo and having extra pellets. Bandit is triple barrel, and Torg is the quad barrel. Now on most guns, the grip is the thing next to the trigger, but for shotguns, the grip is the part up here. In this case, we have a Bandit grip. Back here, we have the stock. The stock doesn't benefit from a matching manufacturer bonus, so Hyperion is generally considered the best, while Bandit is considered a middle ground. Here, we've got a Hyperion stock. What I'm trying to say is that this quad fucks. The only part on it that I'd say isn't great is the prefix. We got mag size, which slows down reloads. Crit, damage, or fire rate prefix would have been much better. Regardless, this will be more than enough to get us through a few missions. If you want to learn more about Borderlands 2 parts, or just want a nice visual guide to help you determine the parts on a weapon, the website bl2.parts is perfect for that. Alright, nerdy shit over. Let's kill the body double. It takes a few tries since the body double is tanky as hell, but we get there eventually. All 4 voice samples and seeding 1 torrent later, and we get a voice modulator. Funny thing, Krieg doesn't have a voice line here for getting Jack's voice. The developers probably realized they fucked it up when trying to add Gage, and just gave up. This also gets rid of a lot of Krieg's voice lines in general. It's a shame though, I would have loved to hear Krieg voiced by Damian Clark. Back to Sanctuary, we turn in the mission, and our level is looking kinda low. I could do some side quests, but why not just do a DLC? Let's head off to Oasis to do Pirate's Booty. Upon arriving in Oasis, Shade tells us that his town is being invaded by pirates, and he needs our help. We don't get a stink pot, and now we've got to rebuild Shade's sand skiff in order to progress, even though we're not going to use it. We talk to Jocko, Miss Blavis, Jennifer, and oh, hey Lionel.
I exist in a constant state of agony. Every thought stabs my consciousness like shards of glass. I cannot weep, for I have no eyes. I cannot live, for I have no heart. I cannot scream, for I have no mouth. Your mere presence extends my suffering to unfathomable, wuthering heights.
That is a great story, Lionel.
We get all the sand skiff parts, rebuild the vehicle we're not going to use, and head off to meet Captain Scarlet. While in this DLC, I did some experimentation mixing the Bloodlust and Hellborn tree to see if I could get some good results right now. And spoilers, the answer is no. We simply don't have enough skill points to mix the two trees and get good results. Finally, we meet the titular Captain Scarlet, and she tells us there's a legend where some dude buried some treasure somewhere, and we've got to find parts of a compass to find it. She's already got one piece of the compass, and one of her former crewmates has another piece, but he defected, and we've got to go kill him. I travel over to Oasis to grab the mission Grendel, and go off to Hater's Folly. For some reason I grabbed the quest for the rapier, but I don't know why since I can't use it, and it doesn't really give us any benefit. Anyway, we find Sandman and take him down, grab his piece of the compass, and conveniently he left behind a note that says Hyperion has the next piece. We head off to Wormwater and use the speed boost from Buzzak's Rampage to run across the massive wasteland. I'm pretty sure you don't actually need to kill these loaders to get the compass piece, but they're good XP, so why not? We grab the third piece of the compass, and since I don't want to run back, I save and quit. After loading in, I see my shotgun is a single barrel, and so I re-roll the parts on it a few times until I get one I like. This one has a bandit barrel, torque grip, and no accessory. Good enough. Now, I'm going to do the mission Grendel for the reward. Grendel always rewards the player with a choice between two blue class mods, and having a new on-level class mod would be really nice. In particular, I want a new Blister class mod that boosts Fuel the Blood and Bloodbath. Grendel is no issue, and we head back to Oasis to turn it in. Before we do though, I take a moment to set my save file to read only, allowing me to re-roll in case I don't get the class mod I want. For this section, I use the sand skiff to get to the bounty board faster, just letting you know. It takes a few tries, but eventually I get this Blood Blister class mod with 44% kill scale duration, plus 3 Bloodbath, and plus 2 Fuel the Blood. More than good enough for what we want. I turn off read only, and force the game to save by toggling badass rank on and off. Then, I save and quit to roll for a new shotgun. We get a quad with a Jacob's grip. Very nice. I respec back into full Trinity Krieg, and now we can continue. At this point, I think I'm ready to continue with the main story, so we go back to 1000 Cuts. Don't worry, I'll come back to finish the Torg and Scarlet DLCs later. Gosh, it feels so weird to actually be able to kill things after that starter pistol run. Remember when I spent 40 minutes on this one constructor? Good times. Brick tells me to avoid the mortars, but Krieg has his AirPods in and can't hear Brick. Oh god, oh fuck, someone stop! While trying to kill the badass constructor, I accidentally open the console because I'm trying to double shot, but we get the kill and make our way to the bunker. This first section is easy peasy. Our corrosive pistol makes quick work of the autocannons, and when we get lucky and proc Bloodbath, our damage goes through the roof. Eventually, I start meleeing enemies to get Fuel the Blood as well, making Bloodbath easier to get instead of Blood Overdrive. We hit level 24 and max out Bloodbath, then kill the final autocannon. Oh shit. Cool. Anyway, bunker is no different from any of the other fights we've done up until now. We get Bloodlust, we get a kill skill, and chunk this oversized drone. We say the super secret password, get to Angel, fail to despawn her, tell her to put away her strangely black grippers, and now we get to do everyone's favorite auto-scroller. Unfortunately, I die once because of the weird thing where you can't crawl through an ion loader's shield while in fight for your life, but the rest of the section goes relatively smoothly. We destroy all 3 injectors, Roland spills the ketchup he was saving for french fries, and Lilith reveals she was the bad guy all along. Back in Sanctuary, Mordecai tells us we gotta get to the Arid Nexus. But first, I want to get some XP. I go to the Dust, farm Mobley and Gobley, hit level 25, then level 26, and travel to the Iridium Blight. Oh no, Jack locked to the path to the Arid Nexus. Alright, off to Sawtooth Cauldron. We've got to steal some Y94 Odomo charges if we want to get to the info stockade and find the warrior. We ring for the elevator, but it's out of order, and all the technicians have gone on strike. It's okay though. There's a helicopter nearby that'll take us to the top of the tower. It'll be like a heist movie. We find the helicopter and ride it to the top of the buzzard's nest. We kill all 5 buzzards, and mark the explosive for Brick's dudes to come pick up. Now we're all ready to head to the Arid Nexus. But first, I want a new shield, some XP, and maybe a relic. Thankfully, we can get all of those things in the Mercenary Day DLC. Pretty much everything in this DLC is weak to fire damage, so our tinderbox finally gets its time to shine. We get to the train and kill all the bandits, signal the train conductor, miss getting on the train, hit level 27, and relight Gingerton's single heater that's responsible for the entire town. Smaller than average Timothy tells us that the issues they're having will persist until the giant sentient snowman, Tinder Snowflake, is dead. Yeah, okay, I guess we'll kill him or whatever. Tinder Snowflake is an easy fight, we just need our kill skills and he's toasted. In our first chest run, we get an explosive damage relic. Then we hit level 28 in our third run, then head back to Sanctuary real quick to buy some ammo SDUs. And I think we're ready to take on Arid Nexus. We get there, trigger the pipe, go to the pump stations, and activate all the valves. We ram the pipe with the Goonmobile, and get to Firestone. Now, we don't need to kill Saturn, strictly speaking, but given that killing Saturn is few and far between in challenge runs, why not? I hit level 29 on the Badass Constructor in front of the info stockade, and rushed through to grab the location of the warrior, definitely not dying twice because I was impatient. We get the location, head back to Sanctuary, and grab Claptrap for the final assault. The gate is mostly pretty easy. There's a lot of enemies to get kill skills, and our corrosive pistol works wonders when it comes to stacking Bloodlust. Hero's Pass is kinda interesting. Usually I skip most of the map by doing some jumps, but Krieg has a much harder time doing that. In particular, this grenade jump is a nightmare. It took me about 10 attempts to do it, and it probably would have been faster to just play the section normally. Alright. Into the Vault of the Warrior. Jack might have been an issue if he didn't just stand still randomly. Like really, why is his AI like this? The strategy for the Warrior is nothing new. We stack Bloodlust with our corrosive pistol, then get either Bloodbath or Fuel the Blood off of one of these Chrysalisks or the rack, then swap to our shotgun for massive damage. It still takes a while since it's not easy to get both of our good kill skills at the same time, but besides that, it's not too hard to get a second wind after we go down, so staying alive isn't an issue. Near the end of the fight, I get both Bloodbath and Fuel the Blood and do enough damage to bring the warrior to its death state, and we take it down with ease. To kill Handsome Jack, I do a 360 grenade throw. Now you might think our work here is done, but you'd be wrong. We've still got 5 whole DLCs to play, 2 of which are pretty much almost done anyway, and we've yet to see the most powerful mission weapon in the game, so stick around. So, to start out the DLCs, we're gonna head on over to the unassuming docks to begin Tina's DLC. The final mission weapon we'll be getting is in this DLC, and we're gonna want it sooner rather than later. So the story of this DLC is that we're actually part of Tina's Bunkers and Badasses campaign, which is a parody of Dungeons & Dragons. In her story, the world's fallen to a sorcerer whose motives aren't really clear. Only one person can save the world from the eternal night that engulfs the land, and she went missing in a nearby forest. In order to get into the forest, Torg tells us we need to shoot down the village's scouting blimps with a fire weapon, because reasons.
Because reasons!
Next, we have to punch this guy so hard he explodes. Not before spinning the slots one time though. By standing in this guy's way, he's not able to run away, making it much easier to deal with. Torg gets banished to the stocks for being ridiculous, and we finally get access to the forest. Thankfully, there's no carnivorous trees in this forest. Oh, jokes aside, this is another rare event where the tinderbox actually gets to shine a bit. To nobody's surprise, the trees here are weak to fire, so they're great for stacking Bloodlust. The gatekeeper that's guiding us through the forest tells us to get some blood fruit from these nearby trees, and we level up to level 31. This is big. For those who don't know, the capstone of Krieg's Bloodlust tree, Bloodsplosion, is one of the most powerful skills in the game. Brace yourself, because there's some math incoming. The skinny of it is that when we kill an enemy, the damage we deal over what would have brought the enemy to 0 HP gets transferred into an explosion. The damage of this explosion is determined by the difference between the enemy's remaining HP and the damage we dealt, and then multiplied by the product of our Bloodlust stacks and 0.05. At 100 stacks of Bloodlust, that's 500% overkill damage transferred into an explosion. You can imagine how this would be crazy, especially since blood-splosions can trigger other blood-splosions, meaning the effect can chain for exponential damage. Oh hey, a bee. Anyway, this skill is really good, and will be used in multiple boss fights in the future. We get the blood fruit to Davlin, and he opens the way for us. We get to the next area, and he tells us that we need to find the White Knight, for only he can open the way. We get to the quest marker, and oh my god, it's Roland. Looks like he finally cleaned himself up after spilling all that ketchup. Bringing Roland back to Davlin, we try hard not to think about the fact that Tina is lusting over a horse, and head on up to the Tree of Life. Davlin says he can reverse the curse here, and all he needs is the rest of the blood fruit we gathered earlier. Oh no, turns out Davlin was the handsome sorcerer all along, and just summoned 4 Ghost Kings to fight us. Okay, this fight is actually kinda rough. These Ghost Kings all pose a decent threat, and they're all immune to elemental effects. Since skeletons aren't really weak to any specific effects, I either have to hope I get lucky and apply some damage over time to stack Bloodlust, or stack it by shooting the Ghost Kings themselves with either of my pistols. Eventually, the ads stop spawning, meaning we can't get our kill skills anymore, making this fight much more drawn out than it needs to be. I die 3 times since there wasn't much to second wind off of, but thankfully, that's the biggest issue we run into. We kill the last Ghost King, and into the Mines of Avarice we go. The story here is that the handsome sorcerer has imprisoned the queen, you know, the one who can clear up this whole mess. And in order to find her, we need to reach the handsome sorcerer's tower, which is conveniently located on the other side of the dwarven mines. The mines are pretty tough for us right now, mostly because I don't really have a way to heal, and Warlord Turge showing up doesn't really help. The dwarves here are being enslaved by the sorcerer, and would likely be willing to help us in our plight against the evil mage. That is, they would have been willing to help if Brick didn't decide to punch the dwarf leader so hard he exploded. The dwarves are now hostile to us, so we'll need to fight through them. We reach the exit to the mines, and Claptrap is just kinda sitting there, blocking foolhardy adventurers from going and challenging the sorcerer. He makes some reference to an obscure movie, and decides to let us pass anyway. Doesn't matter though, the door is locked. We gotta go find 4 runes in order to pass. But there's something far more important we have access to now. Claptrap now offers us the quest, The Beard Makes the Man. And that quest gives us arguably the most useful mission weapon in the game, the Grog Nozzle. On top of having a roughly 50% chance to slag, the Grog Nozzle heals you for 65% of the damage you deal. The slagging alone is huge. In case you've never played Borderlands 2 before, when an enemy has slag applied to them, all other damage dealt to that enemy will be doubled. In UVHM, slag increases its effectiveness, and instead of doubling damage taken, it triples it. Slag is very useful, and we could have gotten a slag weapon earlier by just completing the current Rock Paper Genocide mission, but since I knew we'd be getting this eventually, I wanted to keep the other elemental option. We do the jumping thing for 1 rune, solve the world's largest Rubik's Cube for another, and get to Greedtooth, who is under the control of the sorcerer and has the last dwarven rune needed to pass. We break the sorcerer's control over him, and he's just about to give us the last rune when he realizes that we're the people who killed Ragnar the Emancipator, and continues fighting us. With our kill skills, he goes down lickety-split, and we get the last rune. Mordecai does an uh-oh stinky, and we're able to progress into Hatred's Shadow. On the way up the tower, this badass sorcerer drops a chain lightning, and I'm having a great time using my new slag weapon to set up blood explosion chains left and right. We get to this bridge, and the handsome sorcerer's dragon ambushes us. This is a pretty easy fight so long as you can lead your shots, and I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm something of a marksman. We kill the dragon, and for our efforts, we get a new shield. I've been using adaptive shields because I feel like the survivability they provide has been more useful than the damage bonus I could have gotten from roid shields. Look at this, so obviously a trap, like come on. Get on, stupid game. Oh shit. Well, now we've got to travel through the layer of infinite agony to reach the Sorcerer's Tower. This is another area where Bloodsplosion is the MVP. There's a lot of low health mobs that you can set up Bloodsplosion chains on. I get to this part where you need to wait for the moving platforms to line up in a certain way and get it first try. Wink wink. We hit level 33, and I forgot to mention it earlier, but I've been putting my points into Fuel the Fire to make applying elemental effects easier. We get to the handsome sorcerer's daughter, and we release her. Turns out they were keeping her chained up for a pretty good reason though. Wood. This fight is a little annoying since the sorcerer's daughter has an attack where she steals health from you, but it's not too bad. Lots of enemies to bloodsplode, and plenty of damage to deal. We make our way up to the handsome sorcerer, and this fight is actually pretty cool. The handsome sorcerer has 3 phases. The first one is fairly simple and acts like the sorcerers we've been fighting in the DLC until now. The second phase is a necromancer that summons skeletons, and the last phase parallels the fire mages and summons red dragons. All of these phases summon something, so we can get our kill skills, and with some small setup, we can obliterate the handsome sorcerer. Finally, we get to the queen, and who could it be? Well, it's Butt Stallion. We give Butt Stallion some iridium, and she reverses the curse that's placed over the land. Alright, that's one DLC down. Now let's head back to Torg's Champion of Carnage and finish that up. Unfortunately, since we took the last quest back around level 20, all of the enemies are going to be at that same level. It's okay though, this definitely is not a great boss fight. The Badassosaurus has bullet reflection and a lot of damage reduction. You have to hit the various barrels on the side to do critical hits, and try not to get nuked. The vault opens, and that finishes Torg's DLC. While we're at it, let's go finish Captain Scarlet's DLC. We still have a few quests to go, so let's get started. Last we left off, we just gotten the 3rd compass piece from the Hyperion convoy, and now we need to head to the one person who might know where the last piece of Captain Blade's compass is. Scarlet told us he's out in the Rust Yards, so let's run on over there. When we get to the Rust Yards, Scarlet requests that we don't mention her name to Herbert. Strange, I wonder why. The enemies here are thankfully scaled to our level, relatively speaking, so at least there's some challenge. We take the elevator up to the cliffside, knock on the door to the precariously positioned shack, and meet Herbert. You know, I think I'm starting to understand the captain's requests now. Herbert will tell us what he knows about the last piece of the Treasure of the Sands, but only after we collect some of his tapes from a nearby stash. The stash blows up, and all of the tapes are scattered across the map. Now we gotta go grab them. Each one we pick up gets us a glimpse into Herbert's plight to woo Scarlet.
I wrote you a haiku. You got a nice butt. You also got a nice chest. Your face is okay too. No! This includes the sounds of Scarlet sleeping. Tape number 48. Okay, this is mixtape number 206. I call this one, Scarlet, I Would Like to Touch You in Places. Oh, Scarlet.
Yeah, that's a well-adjusted human being. We return to Herbert's shack, give him his belongings, and he tells us he's had the last piece of the compass all along. We've just got to get it out of this chest. Seems like the lock is rusted, so we have to shoot the lock to get it open. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. Herbert says he can make a replacement compass piece, he just needs some material called polycriton, which can be found in Washburn Refinery. On the way, I learned that this convoy we raided actually respawns, which is pretty cool. We get to the refinery and make our way through, picking up what pieces of polycriton we can find. After finding the 3rd piece, Herbert tells us that the finished compass will need to be taken to the Magnus Lighthouse, and only then will it show us the location of the Treasure of Sands. I mean, the Treasure of the Sands. We also find this funny little guy who just kinda shows up. He's like a miniature Saturn. After grabbing the 4th piece, we head back to Herbert's shack that's probably giving building code inspectors an aneurysm and hand him the polycriton. He fabricates the extra replica and gives it to us. Now we have a choice. Giving Herbert the present from Scarlet we picked up earlier will kill him, but we could just not give it to him and let him live. You know, maybe Herbert's misunderstood. He's obviously very intelligent, and can you really blame someone for going crazy on this planet? Perhaps we could see eye to eye on...
I can smell her on you.
Yeah, no, bye Herbert. Back at Scarlet's place, she gives us her piece of the compass and we assemble it. Scarlet tells us what we already know, that we need to take the compass to the top of Magnus Lighthouse, and kindly tells us where that is. We get to the lighthouse, climb this whole shebang, flip the switch to activate an elevator, and finally get to the lighthouse proper. One more elevator and we're at the lantern room, or in this case, the compass room. For some reason, the compass activates the lighthouse, which shines a bright light onto one spot out in warm water. We jump down from the lighthouse, and Captain Scarlet does the unthinkable and sends her men to come after us. Oh no! After dealing with her goons, we fast travel to Wormwater and head to the spot that the lighthouse is pointed at. Then we get vored by Sans. Wait. Then we get vored by the beast which protects the treasure of the sand. Oh, I see. In the belly of the beast, we meet back up with Captain Scarlet, and she's found her pet Roscoe. Roscoe is a big pushover, and we kill him in about a minute or so. Afterwards, the Leviathan vomits us out, and we get to fight the big boss of this DLC. This one is actually kind of cool in playthrough 1. You have to hit each of the big glowing blue pustules in order to deal damage, and each one will break after a certain amount of damage. Thankfully, a bunch of sandworms also spawn in the arena with us, allowing us to get our kill skills and deal with it in short order. And that's all of Captain Scarlet's DLC. I checked the treasure of the sands real quick, and we don't really get anything great. In the super secret treasure, we do get a shotgun damage relic that's pretty okay. And now we're all ready to head on over to the next DLC. Everyone's favorite, Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt. The story of Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt is that Hammerlock wants to hunch a bunch of nonsense and invites us to be his hunting partner. And by hunting partner, I mean he sits in a lodge and gives us quests while we go do all of the actual hunting. This DLC has a lot of insanely large maps, so I'll be making a lot of use of Buzzak's rampages, speed boost throughout. We find Sir Hammerlock over in this cave, and he tells us that the lodge has been overrun by the locals, and they want to give us a warm welcome. Big Game Hunt's enemies are probably some of the most annoying in the entire game. In particular, witch doctors are a huge pain in the ass. They're small casters with masks that cover their faces and block critical hits. In fact, a lot of enemies have masks and or shields of some kind in this DLC. I don't mind this as much on nomads in the base game, because they're much tankier and slower, but everything in this DLC is very squirrely and quick. We clear out the lodge, and this guy named Nakayama contacts us. He seems to think we're here to kill him or something, but Hammerlock clears up the confusion and we go about our business. In order to do all of Hammerlock's hunting for him, we first need a fan boat, or as Hammerlock calls it, a dinghy.
Dingy.
We don't actually need one, but the game insists we go with Hammerlock to the catcher ride and defend him from enemies while he repairs it. After all of that's done, we head on over to where our first target is, Scylla's Grove. The thing we're killing is a Scalian, one of these giant four-legged scorpion-looking things. Its name is Thermitage. Thermitage? Thermitage? Whatever, Thermitage. We kill all of its cronies, which lures it out, and deal with it pretty easily. Nakayama phones us and seems to be pretty disappointed that we're not here to kill him. He begs us to go fight him, and Hammerlock reluctantly volunteers us to agree. Hammerlock notices that there's some ruckus going on in one of the nearby villages and wants us to go investigate it, showing yet again that he is totally unwilling to do anything around here, despite owning a gun and claiming to be a hunter. Oh yeah, another very cool thing about witch doctors. They can level up their allies, which heals them to full, and grants the witch doctor themselves health regeneration for a short period. This badass, which was level 35, is now an ultimate badass that's level 37. I'm not quite sure why, but I seem to really want to kill these two. It would have been much faster to just ignore them and run past, but hindsight is 20/20, I guess. After 3 deaths, I'm able to kill the badass, then she's the slag witch doctor with this box. Hammerlock hypothesizes about what the locals are worshipping here, and we find out it's everyone's favorite steward bot. Claptrap angers his worshippers, and we get to do some more blood-splosion chains. After they're all dead, Claptrap clues us in on Nakayama's super secret plan. He's attempting to clone Handsome Jack in his little goon cave known as Ardorton Station. The first thing we've got to do is shut down Nakayama's experiments, and that means destroying all of his spare DNA samples of Jack. Don't ask me what those DNA samples entail, I don't want to know. This is another needlessly large map, and while it's a pain to navigate normally, watching geared speedruns of this DLC or just rocket jumping through it yourself can be very fun. Anyway, we destroyed 1, 2, and 3 DNA samples. And now we've just got to turn off the power to the lab altogether. We do that, and Nakayama sends one of his creations, Wound Spike, to kill us. We, blood-splode it. Just a little bit. Nakayama then kindly informs us he still has one last DNA sample in his personal lab, which means we now know where we're going next. Nakayama's lab is somewhere on his ship, the HSS Terminus, and it crash-landed over in an area called Candlerack's Crag. Nakayama then tells us he's already activated his secret weapon, and we're too late. So we just leave. Nah, just kidding, we're gonna kill him. This map isn't huge, but it's winding and jam-packed with enemies. Again, the smart thing to do here is to run past all of the enemies, and I'll let you guess whether or not I did that. We get to the terminus, and there's this funny little thing here where you can get Claptrap to repeat the code by walking away from the door and walking back. What's the code, Claptrap? Sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you repeat that? Do I need to shoot the buttons, or... Okay, time for the best fight ever. Jackenstein is yet another boss with bullet reflection. If you shoot him anywhere on his body, the bullets will be reflected at you. The way you damage him is by shooting the little Tesla coil pod thingies on his back. Do enough damage to those, and you can see some damage on the actual health bar. After destroying both of those, Jackenstein will then start occasionally revealing his Tony Stark-like heart to attack, and you have to shoot that weak point to finish him off. This fight is very annoying. I don't think I've ever spoken to someone who actually enjoyed it. Thankfully, after we destroy the first Tesla coil, loader bots start spawning in the arena, allowing us to get our ever-important kill skills. After we kill Jackenstein, Nakayama finally joins in on the fun. Time for the true final boss of this DLC. The terrible genius Dr. Nakayama... Oh. And that's all the DLCs in Borderlands 2. If you enjoyed the video, please consider... What? That's not all of them? Oh, you're right. How could I forget the DLC of all time? Let's head on over to the fight for Sanctuary. Before I do that though, I spent some time going around and grabbing all the quests I could, just to make sure there weren't any mission weapons that I either forgot or simply didn't know about. After grabbing about 50 or so quests from the main game and the 4 completed DLCs, I didn't see another weapon in my inventory. If you happen to know of another mission weapon in the game that I forgot, please let me know in the comments. These weapons don't have nearly enough information about them recorded on the wiki or anywhere else I could find. Again, I didn't even know about the commercial appeal weapon until after I started this run. So I wouldn't be surprised if I glossed over something. As far as I know, the max amount of mission weapons you can have in your inventory is 5. A green Molly 1 pistol from the Rock Paper Genocide mission chain, an E-Tech Bandit assault rifle from Medical Mystery X Communicate, a tinderbox from Clan Wars Trailer Trashing, a blue Torg shotgun from Commercial Appeal, and the grog nozzle from The Beard Makes the Man. I quickly glanced through the whole wiki, but I may have missed something from there, or it may be missing information. So again, please let me know if you have any additional information. On my quest to grab all available missions, I grabbed the Pyro Pete mission, and that gave me the idea to show off the quick Pete kill with Bloodsplosion. It took a few tries, but here's what Bloodsploding him looks like. The game also gives me a bouncing Bonnie, which is pretty cool. Anyway, I've been delaying enough. It's time to go do Fight for Sanctuary. This DLC takes place a while after the events of Borderlands 2's main story, and Sanctuary has seen better days. Everything's kinda falling apart and nobody knows what to do. Then these assholes start invading, calling themselves the new Pandoran Army. Even though we kill everyone, they manage to overrun Sanctuary's fighting force, and we are forced to flee. Lilith teleports us somewhere unknown, and this is where the DLC properly starts. We learn that the asshole responsible for the invasion, Hector, is a plant man and sends a bunch of people infected with parasitic plant infections after us. After killing them, we meet Vaughn and rendezvous with Lilith to establish a new base of operations in his bandit camp. Then Lilith tells us to go collect some samples of the infection for Tannis to analyze. I had a lot of trouble with his DLC, and the primary reason was the weapon scaling we discussed earlier. Most of our weapons stopped scaling at level 30, and the grog nozzle stopped scaling at level 35. For all of the other DLCs, this was fine because they also stopped increasing the levels past either 30 or 35, but the fight for Sanctuary will spawn enemies up to level 38. This means all but one of our weapons will start out about 5 levels underleveled and slowly become more and more weak as we progress. Our only saving grace in all of this is the poison gas that's sprinkled throughout the DLC. When you stand in certain areas, you'll see this meter at the top of your screen begin to slowly fill up. When it gets full, you start taking damage, but while this meter is on your screen, you deal quadruple damage. Kind of. It's complicated, and if you want a more detailed explanation, I'll put one in the description, but I digress. After collecting the flower samples Tannis needs, she tells us we should kill some infected humans and grab their brains for her. We do that, and return to the back burner to send the samples to her, wherever she is. We hit level 37, and Hector sends us a same-day delivery of infected plant people, and as an added bonus, he threw in some of his own soldiers. We get a blood explosion chain going, kill the Goliath, and Tannis says she was able to trace the gas that's turning people into plant monsters to a one Cassius LaChance. Vaughn calls him up and asks him where he's at, and Cassius says he's holed up in the Old Doll Mine that's conveniently right below Sanctuary right now. Mordecai says he can help us get in there, and when we get to his location, he's getting his shit pushed in by the local flora. We kill the enemies, revive Morty, and head on over to the entrance of the Doll Mine, only to learn that Hector has already locked the door. We turn in the mission to Lilith, and the plan now is to go to Helios, which crashed down on Pandora, and use its moonshot cannon to obliterate the front door. Vaughn says we need to go through some underground tunnels in order to get there, and marks it on our map. We get to the burrows and slowly murder our way to the Helios crash site. Along the way we meet Brick, and we join forces to practice some amateur botany. Fun fact, the first time I went through this area, Brick broke, and I had to restart. We follow Brick to Helios, find this electric barrier that someone set up, break it down, and get into Helios Fallen. We fight through some Vine users, then Hector's goons, go up this elevator, and somehow Tina catches wind of the fact that we're about to fire a really big cannon and begs to be part of it. We find the cannon, and Lilith somehow teleports in at the exact same moment with Tina in tow. Tiny Tina tells us we need to grab a bunch of explosives to launch at the entrance to the Old Doll Mines, so we grab them. Then some stabilizer fins, and now we need a power core from the bot bay. It's there we encounter Uranus. This fight took me a long time. I had to rely on the various ads that spawned in to get my kill skills to even think about denting Uranus's health bar. At some point I ran out of bots to kill and just cowered behind this stack of boxes, occasionally peeking out to shoot. Every time one of the loaders respawned, I did my best to make sure I had max bloodlust stacks, try to get a splash damage kill to proc bloodbath, and use the bonus gun damage to whatever extent I could. I spent about 20 minutes doing this fight, dying because I was out of position, and starting over from the beginning. After getting the kill, we get an Emperor for our troubles, and grab the power core. We return to Tina, let her arm the cannon, and watch as the bomb we made gets loaded onto a much larger bomb. Lilith pokes us furiously, and we fire the cannon into the entrance of the mine. Back at the back burner, Mordecai isn't looking great, but Cassius lets us know that if we can bring him a sample of Mordecai's infected blood, he can manufacture an antidote. I respec real quick, and this is what my skills will look like for pretty much the rest of the run. Finally, we can head to the Old Doll Mine. This is where my damage starts to fall off noticeably. Enemies from here on out are going to be about level 38, and a lot of the enemies in this DLC have some pretty staggering resistances to at least one kind of damage. The new Pandoran army in particular are very tough, and make progression a nightmare. Medics resist explosions, infectologists resist corrosion, pyros resist fire, etc., etc. On top of all of that, almost all of them have very tough shields. If only we had a shock weapon. On our way to Cassius's lab, Hector floods the area with gas, and we have to vent it. Hopefully Cassius is okay. It takes me 20 minutes to get through the area and finally arrive at the lab where Cassius resides. Cassius is chilling in this pod in the middle, claiming to have escaped the effects of the gas. We scan Mordecai's blood, but it's no good anymore. Cassius lets us know that there's one place where we can still get infected blood, and asks us to open his little goon pod. This is another fight that was painfully slow. Cassius occasionally spawns little tendrils that we can get kill skills off of, but besides that, we're reliant entirely on slag and some flowers placed around the arena that'll spew gas to supplement our damage. Even with both of the bonuses, our damage isn't great. When we finally do get our kill skills, we get a chance at a couple of good hits, but this fight takes much longer than I would have liked. We kill Cassius, collect his blood, put it into the antidote machine, and on top of saving Mordecai, we are now immune to the gas's harmful effects, while still benefiting from the 4 times damage bonus. From Cassius's lab, we travel into the bowels of Sanctuary. We clear a bunch of vines to allow Sanctuary's mechanisms to function again, and slowly make our way topside to confront Hector. We step into the arena and find that Hector has infected himself and is harnessing the power of the vault key to be a really big plant. Now, if you thought Uranus was bad, I would like to remind you that fight took 20 minutes across all attempts. How long do you think Hector took? 30 minutes? Maybe even 45 minutes? Hector took an hour, and by the end, I'd lost count of how many times I had died. I got very close to killing him a couple of times, only to go down and die because the other enemies in the arena stopped spawning. My final attempt on its own took 7 minutes, which may not seem like much, but it felt agonizing. We kill Hector and go to grab the vault key. Then Hector comes back, saying so long as he has the key, he can't die. Lilith says she can fix this, but she'll need a lot of iridium. Thankfully, there's some right here in the city. We grab it, bring it to Lilith, and that's the end of Fight for Sanctuary. And we finished all of Borderlands 2's main DLCs. Given the length of this video, I hope nobody's upset that I didn't do all of the Headhunter DLCs. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this run, and even if you didn't, I hope you learned something new. This was a very fun run. Personally, I actually learned quite a bit about the game, not just about mission weapons themselves, but also about the scaling of the game and how it changes between the different areas. There are some things that I did gloss over though, so if you have any questions, feel free to post those in the comments. While I may not be able to answer the most technical questions directly, hopefully someone will. On top of that, I would like to shout out Shadow Evil's Discord server for giving me some of the information I was lacking. Shadow Evil runs a great Borderlands-centered community server that has some of the individuals who are most knowledgeable about this game in it. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, becoming a channel member, or just leaving a comment. These videos take a lot of time to make, from recording the playthrough to researching and writing the script to editing the video, and your support is what makes it all worth doing. I'd like to shout out Taoist Myth for being a channel member. Members get 1 day early access to videos and their names at the end, so consider supporting me that way if you'd like. Anyway, thanks again, and I will see you all later. Moxie used to date her, but they broke up. She also eats her own children, which I think is a bad thing. Hey.
Yeah.
Is it bad to eat your own children?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
What do you want?
is it bad to eat your own children?
It is not unethical. Eat children? No, not really. You eat cum all the time. You specifically eat cum, which still counts to me,
Yeah, okay.
because all children deserve to be murdered and eaten.
So
What do you want me to say?
So I'm just gonna say, hey, is it bad to eat children? And
I say
I need
no.
you to say no. I need you to say yes.
Why? Stupid.
Sorry for calling you at 3 in the morning, by the way.
Fucking fascist.
All right, thanks, wife.
This is off the books. Don't
This is
Don't
going
put
in.
this anywhere.
This is going.
fucking idiot.
Thanks, wife. Love you.
Shut up. I'm going to sleep.
Well, Seymour, I made it, despite your directions.
Ah, Superintendent Chalmers. I hope you're prepared for an unforgettable luncheon.